In 1309, King Jayanegara ascended to the throne of the Majapahit Empire following the death of his father, Kertarajasa Jayawardhana, who had founded the empire. The transition of power from Kertarajasa to Jayanegara marked a delicate period in Majapahit's early history. Kertarajasa had successfully united a significant portion of the Indonesian archipelago, but tensions and rivalries among the nobility and regions still simmered. Jayanegara inherited not only the empire's growing territories, but also its internal complexities, including feuding aristocrats and former enemies of Majapahit, who had been brought into the fold through conquest or diplomacy. King Jayanegara's reign was fraught with challenges from the outset. As a relatively young ruler, he faced opposition from several factions within the court. The nobility, who had supported Kertarajasa's rule, were divided in their loyalty to his son. Some saw Jayanegara as weak and inexperienced, making his early years on the throne a time of political instability. Rebellions and conspiracies plagued the empire, as rival nobles and regional leaders sought to take advantage of the perceived power vacuum. Among these tensions was the growing discontent of the Daha and Lasem territories, which had been conquered during Kertarajasa's reign, but still harbored resentment toward Majapahit's central authority. Jayanegara's efforts to consolidate power were often overshadowed by his reputation for cruelty and arrogance, which earned him few allies among the elite. Historical records and local legends describe him as a ruler who lacked the charisma and strategic wisdom of his father. His inability to foster loyalty among the nobility contributed to the ongoing political unrest during his reign. One notable challenge was the rebellion led by Rikrian Kuti, a high-ranking official who sought to overthrow Jayanegara. Kuti's rebellion reached a critical point when he seized control of the royal capital, forcing Jayanegara to flee. Although Jayanegara eventually reclaimed his throne with the help of his loyal general, Gajah Mada, this event exposed the fragility of his rule. The role of Gajah Mada during Jayanegara's reign is significant, as he would later become one of the most renowned figures in Majapahit history. Gajah Mada's loyalty and military prowess were instrumental in quelling the Kuti rebellion, and his influence in the court began to grow. Although Jayanegara was restored to power, his dependence on figures like Gajah Mada underscored his vulnerability as a ruler. This period laid the groundwork for Gajah Mada's rise to prominence in the Majapahit Empire, culminating in his eventual leadership under Jayanegara's successor, Tribhuwana Wijaya Tunggadewi. In 1318, an Italian Franciscan friar named Odoric of Pordenone, also known as Matiusi, embarked on a remarkable journey that brought him to the distant islands of Southeast Asia. His travels took him to Sumatra, Java, and Banjarmasin in Borneo, where he encountered diverse cultures, peoples, and political entities, including the Majapahit Kingdom. As one of the earliest European visitors to these lands, Matiusi's detailed records provide a rare glimpse into the dynamics of the region during this period. His writings, though framed by his own cultural and religious perspective, offer valuable insight into the grandeur of Majapahit and its place within the broader maritime network of the Indian Ocean. Matiusi's description of Java, and particularly the Majapahit Kingdom, highlighted the vastness and wealth of this emerging empire. He was particularly struck by the abundance of natural resources and the sophistication of the local society. Majapahit, at that time under the rule of King Jayanegara, was a powerful maritime state, known for its impressive fleets and trade connections that extended across Southeast Asia and beyond. Matiusi noted the thriving commerce in the region, where goods such as spices, precious metals, and textiles flowed in and out of Majapahit's ports. The kingdom's economic success was largely driven by its strategic location along key trade routes that connected the Indian Ocean to China, making it a hub of global trade. Beyond its economic prosperity, Matiusi also observed the political structure of the Majapahit Kingdom. He described a highly organized state, with a centralized administration that extended its influence across much of the Indonesian archipelago. The king and his court wielded considerable authority, supported by a powerful military and naval force. Matiusi's account, though brief, suggests that Majapahit was not only a commercial powerhouse, but also a formidable political entity. Its influence reached far beyond Java, with vassal states and tributaries across the region, reflecting the empire's growing ambition to dominate Southeast Asia. The friars' descriptions of the local rulers and their courtly ceremonies reveal the richness of Majapahit's culture and its deeply rooted traditions. One of the most striking aspects of Matiusi's account is his description of the cultural and religious diversity in the region. While Majapahit was predominantly Hindu-Buddhist, Matiusi encountered various religious practices during his travels. In Sumatra, he observed a mix of indigenous animist beliefs, while in Java, Hinduism and Buddhism coexisted. Matiusi, as a Christian friar, viewed these religious practices through the lens of his own faith, and he expressed both fascination and criticism in his writings. His account also reflects the openness of the region to foreign ideas and influences, as the Indianized kingdoms of Indonesia had long absorbed cultural and religious elements from India and China, creating a unique syncretic society. Matiusi's visit to Borneo, particularly Banjarmasin, offers further insight into the diversity of the region. While less detailed than his descriptions of Sumatra and Java, his mention of Borneo suggests that even the more remote parts of the archipelago were integrated into the broader trade networks. Banjarmasin, known for its access to valuable natural resources like timber and gold, was a key point in Majapahit's expanding sphere of influence. Though his time in the region was brief, Matiusi's observations provide a fascinating snapshot of Southeast Asia in the early 14th century, during a time when the Majapahit Empire was solidifying its position as one of the most powerful and influential kingdoms in the region. In 1328, Tribhuwana Wijaya Tunggadewi ascended to the throne of the Majapahit Empire. Following the assassination of her half-brother, King Jayanegara, her rise to power was a significant moment in the history of Majapahit, as it marked the beginning of a new era for the empire. Tribhuwana was not originally intended to rule, as Jayanegara had been the designated heir. However, his sudden death created a power vacuum that needed to be filled swiftly to prevent further instability. Tribhuwana, who had been appointed as the ruler of the Daha region by her father, was seen as a capable and experienced leader, making her the logical choice to succeed Jayanegara. Tribhuwana's reign is often credited with laying the groundwork for Majapahit's golden age. Her time on the throne was characterized by a period of consolidation and expansion, both politically and territorially. Under her leadership, the empire began to extend its influence even further across the Indonesian archipelago, building on the efforts of her predecessors. Tribhuwana also sought to stabilize the internal politics of Majapahit, which had been plagued by rebellions and court intrigues during Jayanegara's rule. Her ability to maintain unity among the nobility and regional leaders was a key factor in the empire's continued success. This period of stability allowed Majapahit to strengthen its military, enhance trade, and develop a more centralized administration. One of the most important figures during Tribhuwana's reign was her trusted advisor and general, Gajah Mada. Appointed as the Mahapati, Prime Minister, of Majapahit, Gajah Mada became instrumental in the empire's expansionist policies. In 1336, he famously declared his Sumpah Palapa, a vow to bring the entire archipelago under Majapahit's control. With Tribhuwana's support, Gajah Mada embarked on a series of military campaigns that would greatly increase Majapahit's territory, bringing Bali, Sumatra, Kalimantan, and other regions under its influence. This period of conquest not only expanded Majapahit's realm, but also secured its dominance over maritime trade routes, further enhancing the empire's wealth and prestige. Tribhuwana's reign also saw cultural and religious developments that reflected the syncretic nature of the Majapahit Empire. As a Hindu-Buddhist kingdom, Majapahit continued to promote the integration of these two major religious traditions, influencing the arts, architecture, and rituals of the court. The reign of Tribhuwana was marked by the construction of temples and monuments that celebrated both Hindu and Buddhist deities, as well as the ancestors of the royal family. These cultural achievements helped to solidify Majapahit's identity as a center of learning and spirituality in Southeast Asia, attracting scholars, priests, and artists from across the region. In 1334, a significant year in the history of Majapahit, three pivotal events occurred that would shape the future of the empire and the Indonesian archipelago. The first of these was the birth of Hayam Wuruk, the son of Queen Tribhuwana Wijaya Tunggadewi, and the man who would later lead Majapahit to its golden age. Hayam Wuruk's birth was a momentous occasion for the royal family and the empire, as it ensured the continuation of the ruling dynasty. His arrival came at a time when Majapahit was growing in power and influence under the capable leadership of his mother and her prime minister, Gajah Mada. Hayam Wuruk would one day inherit a vast and thriving empire, but his early years were marked by the challenges his family faced in maintaining control over their territories. That same year, Mount Kilid, a prominent volcano in East Java, erupted with great force, causing widespread destruction. The eruption of Mount Kilid was one of the most significant natural disasters of the period, and it had a profound impact on the local population. Villages were destroyed, crops were ruined, and many people were displaced by the volcanic ash and lava flows. The eruption also disrupted trade and agriculture in the region, temporarily weakening Majapahit's economy. However, the disaster also demonstrated the resilience of the empire, as the royal family and its subjects worked together to recover from the devastation. This event would later be remembered in Javanese chronicles as one of the many trials faced by the Majapahit rulers, who sought to maintain order and stability in the face of natural calamities. At the same time, a key political event unfolded in Majapahit's court. Gajah Mada, the powerful prime minister of the empire, declared his famous Sumpah Palapa, or Palapa Oath. This oath marked a turning point in the history of Majapahit, as Gajah Mada vowed not to enjoy the pleasures of the world, symbolized by palapa, a type of spice, until he had succeeded in uniting the entire Nusantara, the Indonesian archipelago, under Majapahit's rule. Gajah Mada's ambitious vision for a unified empire was not only a bold declaration of Majapahit's imperial ambitions, but also a reflection of the growing power of the state. His oath set the stage for a series of military campaigns that would expand Majapahit's influence far beyond the borders of Java. Gajah Mada's declaration was not merely a rhetorical gesture. It signaled a new phase of Majapahit's expansionist policies, as the empire began to actively assert its dominance over neighboring islands and territories. The oath inspired both fear and respect among Majapahit's rivals, as it became clear that Gajah Mada and the royal court were committed to creating a unified empire. This vision of Nusantara became a central part of Majapahit's political ideology and would resonate throughout the region for centuries, influencing later notions of Indonesian unity and identity. Gajah Mada's oath also solidified his position as one of the most influential figures in Majapahit's history, as he would go on to oversee numerous military campaigns that would bring much of Southeast Asia under Majapahit's control. The birth of Hayam Wuruk, the eruption of Mount Kilid, and the declaration of Gajah Mada's oath all occurred within a relatively short span of time. Yet these events were interconnected in shaping the course of Majapahit's future. Hayam Wuruk's birth ensured the continuation of the ruling dynasty, and he would later become the ruler who would fully realize Gajah Mada's vision of a unified empire. The eruption of Mount Kilid, while devastating, highlighted the resilience of Majapahit's people and their ability to overcome natural disasters. Gajah Mada's oath, meanwhile, set in motion the events that would lead to Majapahit's greatest territorial expansion. As Hayam Wuruk grew up, he would be heavily influenced by both his mother and Gajah Mada. Tribhuwana Wijaya Tunggadewi was a capable ruler who had successfully maintained stability in the empire during a period of internal and external challenges. Gajah Mada, on the other hand, was a master strategist and statesman whose military campaigns and diplomatic efforts helped Majapahit assert its dominance over the region. Under their guidance, Hayam Wuruk would inherit not just a kingdom but a vast empire, with a well-organized administration and a powerful military. The events of 1334, therefore, played a crucial role in shaping the young prince's understanding of leadership and governance. The eruption of Mount Kelad also had long-term implications for Majapahit's relationship with the natural world. In Javanese culture, volcanic eruptions were often seen as manifestations of divine power, and the royal family's ability to manage the aftermath of such disasters was viewed as a reflection of their legitimacy and authority. The successful recovery from the eruption enhanced the reputation of the Majapahit rulers, reinforcing their status as divinely sanctioned leaders. This event also highlighted the importance of agriculture and trade to the empire's economy, as the volcanic ash would eventually enrich the soil, leading to more fertile lands for farming in the years to come. Gajah Mada's Palapa oath became a defining moment in Majapahit's expansionist policies. His vision of uniting the Nusantara was not without challenges, as many of the regions he sought to conquer were powerful and independent states in their own right. However, Gajah Mada's military campaigns were largely successful, and by the time Hayam Wuruk took the throne, Majapahit had established itself as the dominant power in Southeast Asia. The empire's control over trade routes, particularly the lucrative spice trade, ensured its economic prosperity and allowed it to project power across the Indian Ocean and beyond. In 1347, Adityawarman, a prominent figure in the history of Sumatra, moved the capital of Dharmasraya and established the kingdom of Malayapura in Pagaruyung, located in what is now West Sumatra. This relocation marked a significant shift in the political landscape of Sumatra, as Adityawarman sought to consolidate power in the region and establish himself as a ruler in his own right. His decision to move the capital to Pagaruyung was likely influenced by strategic considerations, as the area was well positioned in the Minangkabau Highlands, offering natural protection and fertile land. This move allowed Adityawarman to strengthen his authority and lay the foundation for what would become a powerful regional kingdom. Adityawarman's rise to power was closely linked to his earlier involvement with the Majapahit Empire. He had served as a high-ranking official and military leader under the reign of Tribhuwana Wijaya Tunggadewi and Gajah Mada, during a time when Majapahit was expanding its influence over the Indonesian archipelago. His ties to the Majapahit court were further solidified by his noble lineage, as he was believed to be a descendant of both the Singhasari royal family and the Srivijayan kings. This royal heritage gave him legitimacy as a ruler in Sumatra and allowed him to establish Malayapura with the support of both the Majapahit rulers and local elites. Despite his connections to Java, Adityawarman's rule in Sumatra represented a shift toward greater regional autonomy. The kingdom of Malayapura, under Adityawarman's leadership, quickly became a significant political and cultural center in Sumatra. Adityawarman's reign is remembered for his efforts to revive the Buddhist traditions that had once flourished under the Srivijaya Empire. He was a devout follower of Mahayana Buddhism, and his court in Pagaruyung became a hub for Buddhist scholars and religious activities. Adityawarman commissioned the construction of numerous religious monuments and temples, many of which were adorned with intricate Buddhist iconography. This revival of Buddhist culture in Sumatra was part of a broader effort by Adityawarman to assert his legitimacy as a ruler, drawing on both religious authority and his connection to the ancient Srivijaya kingdom. In addition to promoting Buddhism, Adityawarman also strengthened the economic foundations of his kingdom. Pagaruyung, located in the highlands, was a key producer of gold, which played a central role in the regional economy. The gold trade allowed Malayapura to establish important commercial ties with other parts of Southeast Asia, including the Majapahit Empire and the maritime kingdoms of the Malay Peninsula. These trade networks helped to enrich the kingdom and supported Adityawarman's ambitions of creating a strong, independent state in Sumatra. By controlling key resources and trade routes, Malayapura grew in influence, attracting both traders and artisans to its capital. Adityawarman's establishment of the Kingdom of Malayapura in 1347 was a defining moment in the history of West Sumatra. His reign marked the beginning of the Pagaruyung dynasty, which would continue to play a significant role in the region's history for centuries. The legacy of Adityawarman's rule can still be seen today in the cultural and historical identity of the Minangkabau people, who regard Pagaruyung as their ancestral homeland. Through his political acumen, religious patronage, and control over regional trade, Adityawarman left an indelible mark on the history of Sumatra, transforming Pagaruyung into a center of power and culture in the Indonesian archipelago. In 1350, Hayam Wuruk, also known by his regal title Sri Raja Jayanegara, ascended to the throne of the Majapahit Empire, succeeding his mother, Tribhuwana Wijaya Tunggadewi. His reign, which lasted for nearly 4 decades, is widely regarded as the golden age of Majapahit. Hayam Wuruk's rise to power came at a pivotal moment for the empire, as it had already begun to assert its dominance across the Indonesian archipelago. Building upon the foundations laid by his mother and the ambitious strategies of his military commander, Gajah Mada, Hayam Wuruk would oversee the expansion of Majapahit into a powerful maritime empire that stretched over much of modern-day Indonesia, as well as parts of Southeast Asia. Hayam Wuruk's reign was marked by a period of unprecedented territorial expansion. Under the guidance of Gajah Mada, who had earlier declared his famous Sumpah Palapa oath to unite the Nusantara, the archipelago, Majapahit embarked on a series of military campaigns to subdue and integrate various kingdoms and regions into its sphere of influence. By the mid-14th century, Majapahit had established control over Java, Bali, Sumatra, Kalimantan, and the Malay Peninsula, extending its reach as far as present-day Malaysia and the Philippines. This vast empire was held together by a combination of military strength, diplomacy, and a complex network of tributary relationships, with local rulers acknowledging the supremacy of Majapahit while maintaining a degree of autonomy. While Gajah Mada's military campaigns were crucial to Majapahit's expansion, Hayam Wuruk's role as a statesman and cultural patron was equally important in shaping the empire's golden age. Hayam Wuruk was known for his deep interest in the arts, religion, and governance, and he fostered a vibrant cultural environment at the Majapahit court. His reign saw the flourishing of literature, architecture, and religious scholarship as Hindu-Buddhist syncretism reached new heights. The court of Majapahit became a center for intellectual and cultural exchange, attracting scholars, poets, and artists from across the region. Majapahit's achievements in art and culture during this period left a lasting legacy that would influence later generations in Indonesia. One of the most significant achievements of Hayam Wuruk's reign was the development of a highly centralized and efficient administrative system. The empire's vast territories were divided into provinces and governed by regional officials who were loyal to the central authority in Tribhuwana, Majapahit's capital. This administrative structure allowed the empire to manage its diverse and far-flung territories effectively, ensuring the flow of tribute and resources to the capital. The Majapahit economy, already bolstered by control of key trade routes, particularly in the spice trade, flourished under Hayam Wuruk's rule. The empire's ports became hubs of international trade, connecting Majapahit to China, India, and the Middle East. In 1355, the Kingdom of Negara Diba was established in South Kalimantan by a Javanese nobleman named Empu Jatmika. This kingdom, located along the banks of the Negara River, marked the beginning of a new political and cultural entity in the southeastern part of Borneo, modern-day Kalimantan. Empu Jatmika, believed to be a figure with ties to the Majapahit Empire, played a central role in laying the foundations for what would become a prominent kingdom in the region. His establishment of Negara Diba was part of a broader wave of political expansion and consolidation occurring throughout the Indonesian archipelago, as the influence of powerful Javanese empires like Majapahit reached new areas. Empu Jatmika is often credited not only with founding the kingdom but also with introducing elements of Javanese culture, religion, and governance to the region. As a result, Negara Dipa became a center for the spread of Hindu-Buddhist traditions, much like other regions influenced by Majapahit. Under Empu Jatmika's rule, Negara Dipa adopted many of the administrative practices and court customs seen in Java, creating a structured monarchy with a strong central authority. This helped to integrate the kingdom into the larger political and cultural framework of the Indonesian archipelago. Despite being geographically distant from Java, Negara Dipa maintained close ties with the Majapahit court, benefiting from the trade routes and political alliances that Majapahit dominated. The strategic location of Negara Dipa along the Negara River made it an important hub for trade and commerce. The river connected the inland regions of Borneo to the coast, facilitating the movement of goods such as gold, forest products, and other valuable resources. This trade allowed Negara Dipa to grow economically and strengthen its position as a regional power. The kingdom became a key player in the trade networks that stretched across Southeast Asia, connecting it to the wider world of maritime commerce. These trade connections not only enriched the kingdom but also brought new cultural influences, further enhancing the prestige and power of the Negara Dipa court. Religion also played a significant role in the development of Negara Dipa under Empu Jatmika. As a follower of Hindu Buddhism, he promoted the construction of temples and religious monuments that reflected the syncretic nature of the region's spiritual landscape. The kingdom became a center for religious scholarship and cultural exchange, attracting priests and scholars from both Java and other parts of the archipelago. This blending of religious traditions contributed to the unique identity of Negara Dipa, as it became a cultural crossroads where local traditions merged with broader Southeast Asian and Indian influences. Empu Jatmika's establishment of the Kingdom of Negara Dipa in 1355 laid the foundation for a dynasty that would continue to rule the region for centuries. His legacy was carried on by his descendants, who expanded the kingdom's influence and solidified its role as a key player in the politics of South Kalimantan. While Negara Dipa would eventually be succeeded by other regional powers, its early history under Empu Jatmika remains a crucial chapter in the broader story of Indonesia's political and cultural development. The kingdom's integration into the maritime networks of the Indonesian archipelago, its embrace of Javanese and Hindu-Buddhist traditions, and its strategic location all contributed to its lasting impact on the region's history. In 1357, one of the most tragic and consequential events in the history of Indonesia occurred: the Battle of Bubat. This conflict took place between the forces of the Majapahit Empire, led by the powerful Prime Minister Gajah Mada, and the Sundanese royal family. What began as a royal marriage proposal quickly turned into a massacre. The Sundanese king Tribhuwana had traveled to Majapahit with his daughter, the Princess Daya Pitaloka Citraresmi, to arrange her marriage to the Majapahit king, Hayam Wuruk. This union was meant to strengthen ties between the two powerful kingdoms of Sunda and Majapahit. However, Gajah Mada, who was intent on asserting Majapahit's dominance over the region, saw the event as an opportunity for political gain. Gajah Mada viewed the marriage as a chance to force the Sundanese kingdom into submission, interpreting the bride's arrival not as a diplomatic marriage, but as a tribute from a vassal state. This perspective clashed with the Sundanese court's understanding of the arrangement, which saw the marriage as a relationship between equals. Tensions escalated when Gajah Mada demanded that the Sundanese royal family acknowledge Majapahit's superiority by paying tribute. King Tribhuwana refused to comply with this humiliating demand, leading to a confrontation between the two sides at the Bubat Square, located near the Majapahit capital, Tribhuwana. The refusal of the Sundanese king to submit sparked a brutal conflict. Under Gajah Mada's orders, the Majapahit army attacked the unprepared Sundanese royal entourage, leading to a massacre. King Tribhuwana and most of his retinue were killed in the battle, unable to fend off the overwhelming forces of Majapahit. The massacre was swift and decisive, leaving the Sundanese royal family devastated. In the aftermath, the Princess Daya Pitaloka Citraresmi, heartbroken by the death of her father and dishonored by the turn of events, chose to take her own life. Her suicide became a powerful symbol of the tragedy and the broken diplomatic relations between the two kingdoms. The Battle of Bubat had far-reaching consequences for both Majapahit and Sunda. For the Sundanese, the massacre at Bubat became a source of deep resentment and grief, creating a lasting enmity between the two kingdoms. Sundanese oral tradition and historical records kept alive the memory of the event, with Daya Pitaloka becoming a symbol of resistance to Majapahit's imperial ambitions. The massacre strained relations between Sunda and Majapahit for generations, as the Sundanese court would never again engage in marriage diplomacy with Majapahit or acknowledge its authority. The event also tarnished Gajah Mada's reputation in certain circles, even though he remained a key figure in Majapahit's political landscape. For Majapahit, the victory at Bubat did little to enhance its power or prestige. While Gajah Mada's ambitions of uniting the Nusantara continued, the Battle of Bubat revealed the limits of his aggressive strategies. Hayam Wuruk, who had originally intended to marry the Sundanese princess, was reportedly deeply saddened by the outcome of the conflict. The royal marriage that had been meant to unite two great kingdoms ended in tragedy, leaving a legacy of bitterness and missed opportunity. The battle also underscored the tensions within Majapahit's leadership, as Gajah Mada's militaristic approach sometimes conflicted with Hayam Wuruk's more diplomatic outlook. Ultimately, the Battle of Bubat became a cautionary tale about the dangers of overreach and the costs of unchecked political ambition. In 1365, the old Javanese text Nagara Kertagama was written by Mpu Prapanka, a Buddhist monk and poet, during the reign of King Hayam Wuruk of Majapahit. This literary work is one of the most important sources of information about the Majapahit Empire, providing a detailed description of its political, social, and cultural life. Written in the form of Kakawin, a type of old Javanese poetry, Nagara Kertagama offers a vivid portrayal of the grandeur of the Majapahit court, its territorial expanse, and its religious and administrative practices. The text highlights the power and influence of the Majapahit Empire at its peak, emphasizing the vast territories under its control, stretching across much of Southeast Asia. The Nagara Kertagama is not only a historical record, but also a spiritual and philosophical work, reflecting the syncretic blend of Hinduism and Buddhism that characterized the religious life of the Majapahit elite. Mpu Prapanka, through his verses, glorified King Hayam Wuruk, portraying him as a wise and just ruler whose reign was marked by prosperity, peace, and cultural achievements. The text also provides insights into the empire's administrative organization, including its regional divisions and the roles of various officials. It lists the vassal states and tributary regions that paid homage to Majapahit, demonstrating the reach of its influence across the Indonesian archipelago and beyond. Beyond its historical significance, the Nagara Kertagama holds immense cultural value. It captures the spirit of the Majapahit era and has been crucial in shaping the understanding of Indonesia's pre-colonial past. Discovered in 1894 by Dutch archaeologists, the text helped modern historians reconstruct the political history of the Majapahit Empire and the extent of its territorial dominion. Today, it is recognized as a masterpiece of Javanese literature and a UNESCO Memory of the World document, celebrated for its contribution to Indonesia's cultural heritage and for offering a rare glimpse into the grandeur of one of Southeast Asia's greatest empires. In 1377, the Majapahit Empire, under the reign of King Hayam Wuruk, launched a punitive expedition against the city of Palembang in Sumatra. This military action was part of a broader strategy to assert Majapahit's dominance over the Indonesian archipelago and to re-establish control over its tributary states. Palembang had been a vital trading hub and an important port city, but it had begun to assert its independence, threatening the stability of Majapahit's influence in the region. The expedition was commanded by the renowned military leader Gajah Mada, who aimed to quell the insubordination of the Palembang prince and reaffirm Majapahit's supremacy. The campaign against Palembang was marked by swift military action, with Majapahit forces effectively overwhelming the local defenses. The punitive expedition highlighted Majapahit's military prowess, showcasing the empire's ability to project power over its distant territories. Despite the initial success of the Majapahit army, the conflict did not unfold without challenges. The Palembang forces, under the leadership of Prince Parameswara, mounted a determined defense, but the overwhelming numbers and military experience of the Majapahit troops proved to be decisive. Ultimately, the siege led to the fall of Palembang, forcing Prince Parameswara to flee to avoid capture. In the aftermath of the Majapahit expedition, Parameswara's escape marked a significant turning point in Southeast Asian history. Fleeing from Palembang, he eventually made his way to the Malay Peninsula, where he sought refuge in the region that would later become the city of Malacca. Recognizing the strategic potential of this location, Parameswara established Malacca as a major international port. Under his leadership, Malacca would rise to prominence as a trading hub, attracting merchants and traders from across Asia, including Chinese, Indian, and Arab traders. This shift in power dynamics initiated a new chapter in regional trade, as Malacca quickly became a key player in the maritime commerce of the time. The establishment of Malacca as an important port city was significant not only for its economic impact, but also for its cultural and political implications. Parameswara, later known as Iskandar Shah, transformed Malacca into a thriving center for trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchange. His reign in Malacca marked the beginning of the Malaccan Sultanate, which would play a crucial role in the spread of Islam in the region. Over time, Malacca evolved into a melting pot of cultures and religions, blending indigenous, Hindu, Buddhist, and Islamic influences. This transformation laid the foundation for the rich cultural tapestry that characterizes modern Malaysia and Indonesia. The events surrounding the punitive expedition against Palembang in 1377 and the subsequent rise of Malacca highlight the intricate interplay of power, trade, and cultural exchange in Southeast Asia. The fall of Palembang was a testament to the might of the Majapahit Empire, but it also set the stage for the emergence of new political entities that would shape the region's future. The legacy of Parameswara's flight and the establishment of Malacca continued to resonate throughout the centuries, as the city became a vital link in the network of trade routes connecting the East and West. Ultimately, the expedition against Palembang and its aftermath exemplify the dynamic nature of Southeast Asian history, where the rise and fall of empires were closely intertwined with the ebb and flow of trade and cultural interactions. In 1389, Wickramaworthana ascended to the throne of the Majapahit Empire, succeeding his uncle Hayam Wuruk, also known as Sri Jayanegara. This transition marked a significant moment in Majapahit's history, as it came at a time when the empire was at the height of its power and influence in Southeast Asia. Wickramaworthana's reign would be characterized by both the continuation of the empire's expansionist policies and the challenges of maintaining stability within its vast territories. The legacy of his predecessors, particularly the legendary Gajah Mada, loomed large as he sought to navigate the complexities of ruling a diverse and far-flung empire. Wickramaworthana faced immediate challenges upon taking the throne. One of the most pressing issues was the internal strife within the empire. Following the death of Hayam Wuruk, factions began to emerge among the nobility, each vying for power and influence. This power struggle threatened the unity and stability of Majapahit, making it crucial for Wickramaworthana to establish his authority and consolidate power. He undertook a series of diplomatic initiatives to quell dissent and restore order, carefully balancing the interests of various regional leaders while reinforcing the centralized authority of the throne. His efforts aimed to uphold the ideals of the Majapahit Empire as a bastion of prosperity and culture. In addition to addressing internal challenges, Wickramaworthana continued the imperial policies of expansion that had characterized his predecessor's reigns. During his rule, Majapahit sought to strengthen its influence over neighboring regions, particularly in Sumatra, Borneo, and the Malay Peninsula. He pursued military campaigns to assert control over vassal states and reinforce the tribute system that had long been a cornerstone of Majapahit's power. These campaigns were instrumental in maintaining the empire's dominance in the region and ensuring the loyalty of tributary states, which were vital for the empire's economic and military strength. Wickramadinha's reign also witnessed a flourishing of culture and the arts. As a patron of literature and the performing arts, he supported various artistic endeavors that celebrated the rich heritage of the Majapahit Empire. Under his rule, the courts became vibrant centers of creativity, attracting poets, scholars, and artisans. This cultural renaissance not only reinforced Majapahit's status as a cultural hub, but also contributed to the preservation and development of Javanese literature and artistic traditions. The legacy of this period would have a lasting impact on Indonesian culture, influencing generations to come. Despite the challenges he faced, Wickramadinha's reign is remembered as a time of significant cultural and political activity in the Majapahit Empire. His efforts to maintain unity, pursue expansion, and promote the arts solidified Majapahit's position as one of the preeminent powers in Southeast Asia. However, the internal divisions and external pressures that emerged during his rule foreshadowed the eventual decline of the empire in the following centuries. The complexities of governance, coupled with the changing dynamics of regional politics, would test the resilience of Majapahit as it navigated the evolving landscape of Southeast Asian history.